to Soul Naked, your podcast all about embodied healing and sacred sensuality. I am Tanya Hirsch, and this podcast is intended to guide you home to your truth and feminine power. Each episode is designed to inspire you to create a pleasure-filled life that is in alignment with your soul. Let's drop the mask and dive right in.
Our infinity, our divinity.
Welcome back, my loves, to the Soul Naked podcast. I'm so excited you're listening, and today I am going to dive into the topic of de-armoring your yoni. It's one tiny piece of my work that I'm sharing with you today, an actual tool that you can use on your own. And if you feel you want to experience this in a sacred container, I will share an opportunity with you how you can learn the step-by-step process in a sacred container guided by me if you feel called. But this episode is also for you to just get to know more about this topic that not many people talk about, but that can literally change your life and open you up for so much more that life has to offer. So first of all, yoni, if you're not familiar, or if this is the first time you're listening to my podcast, yoni is the Sanskrit word for your vagina. So it's a very sacred word for your vagina. And I love to use this word because especially in Germany, we have a lot of ugly words to use for our yonis. And I truly believe that our magic, our divinity, our everything, our power comes from our yoni, the sacred portal. And it's time to remember that and to connect back to her and to also honor her just by speaking the word yoni honors the sacred temple that you have between your legs. So with that being said, yoni de-armoring is what I'm going to dive into today's episode. And the word itself already sums up what this is about. So you can imagine that your yoni, your temple, your place of your body where you're really receptive, where you can be entered. The most feminine state you can be in is to be penetrated, but to be able to be penetrated and to receive, you have to be surrendered and fully open and feel safe. And we as women, I work with hundreds of women all around the world, and every single woman shares the same experience that we all have been entered in our life without our full consent. That can mean that you had sex with a partner before you were fully open and wet and receptive. Maybe there wasn't enough foreplay. Maybe there was an emotional disconnection and you just thought you have to because, you're in a partnership and that's what you're supposed to do. I was always very connected to my body and my emotional world, like they were entangled. So if one of those was not in alignment, the other would shut down. For example, once I went intimate with a man that I thought I really felt attracted to him physically, but I didn't feel safe enough to really open, but I tried to push through because I didn't have sex in 2 years. And I thought, oh my God, I have to do this now. I want to finally have sex again. And then I ignored this feeling of like, actually, I don't feel ready and I don't feel safe and open, even though my body was ready. And I remember I started getting an itchy neck. The like red spots appeared on my neck and they were itchy and I just started scratching, and then at one point we had to stop. So I had the gift that most of my life I did never sleep with a man when I wasn't fully ready. But there were moments where I was entered without being fully ready, and most of them were because of my anxious attachment style, because I thought I had to, because I thought, oh my God, I didn't feel attracted to my partner in weeks and we didn't have sex, but it's part of a relationship. So I guess I just have to push through. And I did it more to please him than actually being fully open and honoring that and communicating that in a loving way, because I didn't have the awareness back then. So there were a lot of memories, and all of us do that. There's nothing to be shameful about if you carry those emotions in your body, or if you experience that in your life. But you can imagine every single time you've been entered, your body is a masterpiece. It remembers every single emotion that hasn't been fully felt and released. It stores it in your body. It remembers every single memory that your mind is so smart to just associate and forget. Your body still carries those memories. So even if it's just a tampon, if it's a doctor, if it's a man entering you with his fingers or his penis, his lingam, there are so many moments that we as women have been entered without being fully ready. And every single time that happened, you can imagine the muscles in your yoni, if you're fully open and receptive, and that's also when you're opening up for more pleasure. If you're in that state, your yoni doesn't create tension. But if she's not in that state, she tenses. And it's just like you're training a muscle all the time. After a while, the muscle grows and sometimes it creates tension. And just like your muscles on your hand can create tension, you also have tension in your yoni. And that's what I hear the most when I guide these sessions, that the women say, oh, I really felt the tension. It was like I didn't even know it's there in the tissue. It's like harder tissue. And that's what we are de-armoring. So it's a physical process, but it goes way deeper, and it also de-armors all those memories and all those emotions that are stuck from those experiences. And this can happen in your self-pleasure practice. It's not even about pleasure, it's more a healing experience. It can get pleasurable. Women can have orgasms, but it's more for you to open up for more pleasure. So I had, I'm going to give you a few examples so you know more what this can look like, even with a partner, because when this happened to me, I didn't know that this is possible and normal. And I just thought, oh my God, what's happening? And we were both kind of overwhelmed. So with a partner, I once was intimate, and it was getting heated, and there was some emotional disconnection between us. He simply didn't do what he said he would do, which made me lose trust because he wasn't in integrity. And we didn't really talk about it. It was just underneath the surface. And then we tried to get intimate. And in my mind, I was like, okay, surrender, just surrender, surrender, surrender. But you can't force your body into surrender. If you don't feel safe, you won't be able to fully open and to receive sexually or even emotionally with your partner. So I tried that. I was like, okay, surrender, surrender. This is good. You can open. But of course, it didn't work. And then he gave me pleasure with his hands, and I still tried to get into the state. I was like, oh no, it's okay. You turn on, you can do this, you can surrender. And that's always like, if you try to surrender, if you force yourself into surrendering, it's never going to work. So when he entered me, even though I was ready physically, it was like a Yoni De-Armoring. He was inside of me, but it wasn't pleasurable. It was the pressure of his hands triggered an emotional release. And I still remember that my tears just started flowing. So he entered my yoni with his fingers, and immediately I cried like a river. My body began to shake, and I had these memories coming up of how many times I didn't remember my divinity, of how many times I allowed my body and myself to be treated in a way that was not in alignment with my essence, because all these layers of the false illusion of who I am, all the conditioning, everything that happened to me was covering my truth so much. And in that moment, I just felt all these memories. They came up, and through my tears, I released so much of these stuck emotions, of this stuck feelings that were stored in my body, where I allowed that, where I couldn't see the truth, where I thought I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, and I just allowed all these things to happen. And you don't even have to certainly know what is releasing. So sometimes this was more like in general, like all the times I've been entered, and almost like for all the women, how many times we've been entered without our full consent, how normal it is in our society that we use lubrication, or that we we just are not, our body temple is not honored in a way that it's supposed to be, also because we have families and we have a life and it's stressful, and it's just unfortunately how many of us live their lives. And I just released this sadness and this all these emotions. My hair was completely wet. I just cried, and I looked at my partner and we were both like, what's happening? But I just allowed it to flow out. And sometimes you don't know exactly what you're releasing, but if you're fully surrendering, and that's why I'm telling you this, that this is completely normal and possible, that these releases happen, and you don't need to know exactly, to make sense of what you're releasing. Healing is a very embodied experience, that your body, just as much as it remembers everything that happened to you, it can release if you give it the space and if you feel safe enough to do so. So if in this process of de-armoring your yoni, and I'm going to dive more into how we do this is more the why, and why even de-armoring your yoni. Your body knows exactly what to do. So this can look like a shaking. I had this in my last Yoni De-Armoring session in my mastermind that I was guiding for my women, that one of those women, and I shared it before, so she wasn't scared. She knew it was normal and it was safe. Her body started shaking and she was releasing a trauma from many years ago. And this is the magic. Your body really knows what to do. You just have to trust and to feel safe and to open and really allow it to happen, and not stop it and trying to make sense of what's happening. So it can shake, you can cry. There's so many ways how your body releases those emotions, but you need to feel those emotions that are coming up, and that can be intense. And that's why I always recommend, if you just start doing this work, to have someone who can hold you in this, because there's sometimes trauma coming up, or sometimes intense emotion, and there was a reason why these emotions weren't felt in the past. So you dissociate it because it was too much to feel. So you just shut your heart down, shut your yoni down, just let it happen, and you don't think about it. It's almost like cut off your memory, but your body remembers every single memory. And these blockages are exactly what is blocking your aliveness, your pleasure, your bliss, your joy, everything you desire so deeply, the real connection. If you release those blockages and these emotions, all of this energy can finally flow again through your body. It's like a water hose that has knots in it. If you hold all these emotions, all these blockages in your body, your energy flow cannot flow freely. And of course, you won't feel alive. You won't feel creative. You won't feel turned on. And every one of us carries those emotions. But the more you release, the more free, the more safe, the more sensual, the more turned on, the more alive you will feel in your body. And I really desire this for every single one of you, because I know how it feels if you are in the opposite state, if you don't feel alive, if you don't feel joy in your life, if you don't have energy, if you're just in a really low vibration because you're carrying all of this and you're not even aware. It just shows up in not feeling any pleasure in your life. And this work has really, really, really shifted so much for me when I started de-armoring my yoni, that these emotions and memories could be released from my body. In the beginning, I was like, oh my God, this is so intense. What's happening? I don't know. And now when this happens, I'm like, yes, get it out of my body. Like, even if it's like super intense, sometimes I even throw up, not with the yoni de-armoring, but in trauma releases, sometimes your body just purges. So if you have a fear purge, can happen that you throw up, that you shake, that you cry, that sometimes you can move it through dance. And by now I'm like, yes, please. I feel it all. I allow it. It's like I put my goggles on and I go dive deep into the mud to release it, to feel it. I allow it to move through my body, through sound, through breath, through movement. I release it because I know how free I feel on the other side. And that's the beauty of it. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. I know it doesn't sound sexy to say I hold space for you to dive into your deepest wounds, to release trauma. But what is on the other side of that is, that's why we're here. We are here to experience the full spectrum of life, to feel all of your emotions, and to be able to feel truly alive and to experience all of life. We need to be willing to feel every single emotion. Doesn't matter if it's anger, if it's sadness, if it's frustration, if it's anxiety. There's a reason why these emotions show up. And the Yoni De-Armoring is really a beautiful, powerful tool to connect you back to your true feminine nature that is open, that is relaxed, that is soft, that wants to receive. And yeah, I really, really believe this work can change the world if we as women remember how divine and powerful and beautiful we truly are from the inside out. If we remember the beauty of our soul and radiate it out into the world without our traumas holding us back, without these layers covering the truth of who we truly are, we will change the world by just being us. We don't even need to do much. It's just our essence that radiates out and inspires other people to also remember who they truly are. And of course, we will trigger people along the way. And of course, there's people that don't want us to grow and that don't want us to step into our full power and light. But we are not here for those people. We are truly here to experience everything that life has to offer. And the Yoni De-Armoring is such a powerful tool to reconnect you to that divinity inside of you, because you can literally receive a soul through your womb into your body. If you don't believe in magic, I don't know what else can prove you that there's so many different dimensions beyond our logical mind and beyond what we can see. That you can receive a soul into your body it's nothing the mind can understand, but your body's able to do that. And through the same channel, you can also receive divine guidance. I channel all of my programs through my womb. I had a 4 months transitioning death portal where nothing came through. I shared this in my last episode with the death and rebirth cycles. I just allowed it because I went through these cycles so many times now that I know I have to nourish myself. I have to hold space for myself. I have to trust. I need all of my focus, all of my energy for me, so I can become a radiant butterfly on the other side. And I don't push myself anymore to create. But then suddenly this offer came through and it was just so alive in my womb, because this is such a powerful, profound work. And I'm going to share with you how the Yoni De-Armoring works and how you can do it in your own home if you feel safe enough to hold yourself. And at the end, like I shared before, I'm going to offer my new offer with you, Cracked Open, where we will do this in a safe space, a safe group setting on Zoom with your camera off, so you can be guided and held during this process. So the first thing you want to do if you work with your sexual energy in a healing setting, you want to make sure your home is cozy and comfortable. I always encourage my women to get flowers like I just did. You see them behind me if you watch this podcast episode on YouTube. I love to treat myself like a goddess, even if I don't feel like it sometimes. I just love to treat myself really, really, really beautiful and the way I want my man to treat me. So I love to buy myself flowers. I love to put up candles to dim the light, to have soft fabrics. I love to have a shower and to feel very sensual in my body. And the temperature has to be good. You don't want to freeze while you're while you're touching yourself. Make sure you create a really safe environment. Lock your doors so nobody can come in, so you feel open to dive deeper into your body, into your emotional world, into your subconsciousness, because safety is the #1 foundation for this work. If you don't feel safe, you won't be able to go there. You can de-armor your yonis as much as you want. If there's not a safe, sacred container, you won't be able to release those blockages. So after you set the space and make sure nobody's interrupting you, switch your phone off on flight mode and just play some sensual music. I have like 1,000 playlists on my Spotify. You can find it on Tanya Hirsch. And then work with your senses to warm your body up. So you want to start with a feather light touch, like in Tantra we call it a feather light touch. You touch your body with your fingertips in a really loving way. Only your fingertips are touching the surface of your skin, and you can focus on the sensation of being touched and also of touching yourself. So you can play with the receiving and giving role, how it feels in your body. And you want to start really gently, you can start by touching your face, massaging your head, your neck, your shoulders, your arms. And I guide this process in the group setting. You want to really warm up your body to make it feel safe, to make yourself feel really, really good and appreciated in your body, so you can open. You don't just want to go straight to your yoni. It's like in sex with a partner. You don't just want to go straight to the yoni. No woman wants that unless it's like a really intense polarity and you just can't wait to strip your clothes off. Normally our feminine body needs a lot of foreplay, a lot of warming up to really be in this receptive, wet, open state. So after you touched your body, you can also massage with oil. I love to work with essential oils. I love rose oil. I'm obsessed with the rose. My second name is Magdalena, so I'm deeply connected to the rose. I even love to touch my body with the rose. I really open my body more and more. And sometimes I do a breast massage before, because the breast opens the yoni. We as women, we open through the heart. So breast massage is really beautiful. And then you make your way down to your yoni. So this can take up to an hour. Normally when I guide it, it's like 20 minutes warm up until your body is really fully open. And then you can either work with your fingers. I actually recommend to start with your fingers, because you get a feeling for your yoni. You can feel the tension in your yoni walls much more if you work with your fingers than when you work with a yoni wand. So these are the two options you have. You can de-armor your yoni with your fingers or with a crystal wand or a glass dildo. If you work with a crystal wand, I recommend to use the black obsidian, especially if you work with releasing a foreign partner or foreign energy out of your body, because sexual interaction is the biggest energy exchange you can imagine, and you're carrying so much of your partner's energy if you don't clean your womb space, if you don't clear it. So the black obsidian is a powerful stone that absorbs energy, and you want to clean that afterwards too. So the black obsidian wand is a beautiful tool. You can also work with different shapes. There are so many different sizes. For the de-armoring, I prefer not to have like a thick crystal wand. I prefer the thinner ones, so you can really use the pressure to release the armor in your yoni. So you can imagine all the tension your yoni has created through those emotions and memories that I spoke before. Through the de-armoring, you loosen the tissue, you loosen the tension, and this releases these emotions that can come up. This releases the memories that want to be felt and to be released. And then through the softening in your tissue, your aliveness can flow back to you, but it requires you to feel those emotions as well. And then they can just flow out of your body, and you will feel more free, more sensual. You will feel more aliveness, and pleasure is just a side effect. It will come naturally. All the women I work with, after these sessions, they're like, oh my God, I was so turned on suddenly after weeks of feeling nothing, of feeling numbness, of feeling no turn on at all. It's just a byproduct of this work. And that's the thing most people want to avoid. They want the pleasure, they want the aliveness, but they don't want to dig into the healing work. They don't want to release the pain. They don't want to feel. But that doesn't work. You need to feel in order to heal, and in order to really crack open yourself for aliveness and pleasure and bliss. And I wouldn't have been able to feel all these different kinds of orgasms if I didn't do that work. You can, but it's much harder to have energetic cervical G-spot orgasms if you're really numb in your yoni from these experiences. But if you release them, your yoni becomes much more sensitive. Even a finger can create so much pleasure in your body. And this is what I want for you, because we have this gift of a beautiful feminine temple, a goddess temple. And we are here to experience so much pleasure, not only through sex, also through all our senses. And the Yoni De-Armoring can really desensitize your yoni and bring so much aliveness and pleasure back into your body. And that brings also the radiance back to you. So like I said, you can work with your fingers, you can work with a crystal wand. Normally you should be wet. If you're not wet, you could work with coconut oil. I recommend an oil that's really skin friendly, because we're literally inserting our bodies and we don't want any chemicals in there. So anything you would put in your mouth, you can use in your yoni. And then you start to first put the finger or the crystal wand on the entrance of your yoni, and you start to connect to her. And the more you do this, the more you will also be able in your everyday life to communicate with your yoni. She's like the safest compass for decisions. She's like your intuition on top of your gut feeling or your heart feeling. She gives you guidance. She knows exactly your empowered yes and no. She knows when you're not trusting a person. She's like a confirmation, yep, leave right now. And when you have the finger or the yoni wand at the entrance of your yoni, you ask her, are you ready to be entered? And this is a very, 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 very important question, because this is all this practice is about. It's about honoring your temple. And if she's a no, and there are times where you don't want to be entered, I had almost the second half of 2022, after my trauma release, I was recalibrating, I was getting out of my relationship. I simply didn't want to be entered, not even by a yoni wand or a yoni egg or a finger or a tampon. I just didn't want to be penetrated, because she was releasing, and yeah, I was just coming back to a very pure state, and I didn't want to be entered. And I honored that. I didn't make her feel wrong. I didn't judge her. I didn't blame her. So if you feel a no, honor that. And I always say that in my guided sessions. If this is a no, that is the biggest and most beautiful lesson you can learn right now, to honor that. But if you feel she's a yes, then you can work with your breath and insert the finger or the crystal wand into your yoni, just inch by inch. With every inhale and exhale, you work with the breath and you insert it a little bit deeper. And then you go around your yoni, adding pressure, either with your finger, pushing up, breathing into that area. And when you feel tension and it feels uncomfortable, stay there. Take deep inhalations through your nose and make a sound, sigh it out through the mouth. Allow your body to soften, to be really present with whatever comes up. Sometimes it's pleasure, sometimes it's a fucking painful memory where a guy entered you and you were a full no. And it's also a lot about self-forgiveness that can come up, that you like, I knew and I didn't honor that. I allowed someone to enter me even though I knew she wasn't ready. And that will bring back the remembrance of your sacredness and your divinity, and will bring back the connection to your yoni that is the most sacred tool you can have in this lifetime. It's such a gift, and it has been so shamed and blamed, like our power has been taken away. And I truly believe we can take our power back if we connect back to her. So you work with breath, with sound, with movement. You allow all the emotions that want to come up to flow. And you go around until you reached every inch of your yoni. And you can do this one round, you can do many rounds, you can do this once a week, you can do this every day. And I recommend to do this on your own first, not with a partner in the beginning, because you want to really connect with her first, to know your sacred no, to know what feels good, what doesn't feel good. And this is, again, not really a self-pleasure practice. It's more like a healing practice for you to feel more radiant, to feel more magnetic, to feel more turned on, to feel more alive, to get in tune and in touch with your body temple. And I desire this so, so much for you. And yeah, that's about it. You can also set an intention before. If I guide the yoni egg initiations, for example, I always love to place the egg on my heart, but you can do the same with the pleasure wand, and to set an intention, what you are releasing, what you're ready to see, what are you ready to open to, and with that intention, starting the practice. So this is how it works. And when I guide this via Zoom, I really make sure that you feel as safe as possible, but just knowing that you're in a space right now with other women it feels much more safe to open. And I also teach this in my retreats. So if you want to experience this in person, I'm either doing a Yoni egg initiation or a Yoni De-Armoring session in my feminine leadership retreat. I haven't decided yet. I'm very intuitive with what I'm guiding. But in person, it's also at a whole new level, because we carry so much shame and so much. We have forgotten how sacred we are and how sacred our sexuality is, that there's nothing shameful. And I had to relearn this over the years. I got shamed so much for being sensual, so I shut it down completely. I was literally hit in the face by just being me as a teenager from women in where I grew up. I was backstabbed by women for like slut shamed, everything. And to be in a space with women, it brings back this sacred remembrance of the time where we were priestesses in the temples, and we were literally initiating men into the divinity just through dance and just by being in our body, and we were worshipped. And when I first went to my very first Yoni egg initiation in Bali with Nadine, I had her on the podcast twice, Nadine Lee from Tantric Alchemy. I didn't really know what I signed up for. I was just reading it on her Instagram story, and I thought, okay, Moon Temple sounds great. And then after a few minutes, we would all put our bras down, and I was like, oh my God, I was still very conditioned that I thought I'm going to be hit in the face when I'm in my body and sensual, but it felt so natural to be in this safe, sacred container where your whole system gets reprogrammed, because suddenly I was like, oh, wow, it's actually not dangerous to be in my body and to even touch my boobs. Like, what is happening? This is amazing. And we had a breast massage, and then we did the Yoni egg initiation. And when I looked around, it was so sacred and so sensual and so beautiful to see women in their pleasure. There was nothing, zero shameful about this experience. And this has cracked me open to what I've always been passionate about to experience on my own. And, you know, I share a lot about the energetic orgasm stuff, but to also share this work, because I realized how much it changes people's lives. And here I am 2 years later, waving with crystal ones on my Instagram. So it continued, and even in Costa Rica at the feminine leadership training, we did a Yoni De-Armoring in person, and it's so beautiful, and I just love it so much. So if you want to experience this in person, beginning of July in Austria, send me a message. This is going to be a very, very powerful portal in person. But again, you see my brain is slowly drifting away because it's been a big day. It's Saturday evening before, like, my editor has 1 day to edit this episode for you. Normally I'm recording these episodes weeks before, months even sometimes. But life has been so beautifully, magically these last few weeks, especially these last few days. I'm so happy and excited to work on my jewelry brand that requires a lot of focus. I'm very involved in a beautiful, powerful woman sister group here, where they're all sexually liberated women. We did if I told you what we do here, it's really, it makes it easy for me to talk so freely about these topics. Maybe I share a few before I close this episode. So one of my sisters, she works a lot with sexual energy and sacred sexuality. And on one of her retreats, she invited us to join a sex magic ritual where we all used the crystal wands or the fingers or self-pleasured us into orgasm and used it for manifestation. So we sent our desires up to the universe together. We all had a mutual orgasm in a circle, almost touching skin to skin. And oh my God, it was so beautiful. And I can't wait to see this manifestation coming to life, and all the other women's too. We also had a little mushroom cash and cock manifestation. Like, I realized how normal it is actually and how much shame we put around it. And I want to bring this to every single woman because why not? Because this will change your life. So many of those experiences are happening. I went to some Shibari workshops. I had energetic orgasms with my sister that was visiting me here on the beach, from the moon, from the waves. Yeah, there's just a lot of bliss and pleasure after a long period of releasing last year. And it feels so good to be on the other side. And I know life will always come in waves. Healing is not linear, it's very spiraling. And sometimes you meet a layer deeper of yourself where you thought you already healed. But I can really say from so many experiences now and from working with so many women, the deeper you go, the more you release. It's also going up the same way. Maybe not in the same minute. Maybe you need to go through the mud for a bit, but then it goes up so much higher. So much higher. You can feel so radiant, so alive, so much more pleasure if you do this work. And that's what I want for you. This is why I am so deeply passionate to bring this work to you. So if you feel complete, if you say this has helped me, I just want to discover this on my own, then take this information, prepare your space, and let me know how it went. If you feel you want to be guided through this process, I'm offering a 2-day portal called Cracked Open last weekend of April. Saturday and Sunday, we meet twice a day. So 4 sessions in total, 90 minutes. The first day, it's all about cracking open, which means we will have the Yoni De-Armoring session. I will also guide a healing session where I open the quantum field and we dive into your inner world and bring harmony so you can feel safe in your body and in your life. And this can already realign and shift so much in your outer world. And then on the second day, after really cracking open, we're going to do a sacred breast massage that can release the armor around your heart as well. So these are the most powerful tools to release armor in your body, like blockages. And I'm going to record most certainly an episode just about the heart opening breast massage. So today is more about the Yoni De-Armoring, but this will also wait for you. And what else? You will get a feminine embodiment practice, which is a very powerful tool to connect you deeper to your body, to your sensuality, and bring you from your head into your body. And you get 3 months access to all recordings. So 3 hours a day, 2 sessions each day. We will also do sharings. We will connect with each other, which is on its own such a magical experience to see women on the same journey, being curious about it, wanting to learn more about it, without having the judgment. It's a very safe and sacred space for you to dive into this world. And when I'm guiding you, just listening to my voice and you have your camera switched off, which means you can be in your bedroom while listening to my voice and be guided, feel totally safe and cozy while you dive really deep. And it always comes down to the person who's guiding it. So you need to trust me, you need to like my voice, you need to feel safe with me. To really, really go deep. And if this resonates and you feel safe, you like my voice, you're like, I want to experience this with her, then this 2-day portal can change so much. And I hold very deep spaces because I've just met myself so deep. So these sessions blow my mind, and I actually would love to read 2 little testimonials or just messages in my group container after this session. So one woman wrote, I feel cracked open in my heart, my soul, and my yoni. This has kindled a fire in me for the first time in a long, long time. And it's huge. I connected back with my passion, lust, and love. I've been looking for that feeling forever. I didn't know where to find it. I hope it stays that way. And thank you for holding the space. It felt amazingly normal. And that's what all the women say. At the beginning, they're like, what the fuck, we're gonna touch our yonis? Like, and after they said it felt like washing hands. It felt so normal and so safe, because it is. You're shutting down your sexuality. It's like shutting down eating. It's just part of our human nature. And the more we suppress it, we see this in church, the more it will bubble out in toxic ways. So better be liberated in your sexuality, reclaiming your power. There's literally not a single thing that has a negative side effect if you do this work. You just make this world a better place, you make your relationships better, you make yourself better, then everyone is gonna benefit from that. Another testimonial, the day after the session, I felt really good and open, like everything could flow through me again in a very good way. I just wanted to let you know that I loved yesterday's session and I felt in a really safe space with all of you. Blah, blah, blah. I'm blown away about all the beauty of the sensual women we are. It was so sacred, so sensual and liberating to be to be in that space with you. Thank you. I get better at setting boundaries for myself and take more breaks. That feels good for me. I also did the Yoni steaming before our last session, which felt really good, just like a warm hug from the inside out. It was really healing yesterday and really exciting. Thank you all so much, especially after my day. It was so beautiful and amazing to see the unknown support amongst women. Because this is who we truly are. We are here to support each other, to uplift each other, and not to backstab and hold our gifts back because it was hard for us. It has to be hard for you. I really believe the new earth is based on sharing our gifts. And this is one of my gifts to you, to just create a sacred space for you to dive deeper into your healing. So if you're like, oh my God, I can't wait. The early bird price is still open until the 20th. It's 222 euros. After that, the price goes up to 333. You get 3 months access. If you listen to this episode way after, you can still buy the program and do it in your own pace. I would absolutely love to have you. If you have any questions, just let me know, reach out. I'm always happy to connect. And if you're looking for a crystal wand, I always recommend my favorite brand, Yoni Pleasure Palace, because they use high quality crystals. You don't want to put any cheap crystals with toxin polish things in your yoni because you're so absorbative. You don't want to put anything in your skin that's chemical and also not inside your yoni. So you can receive a 11% discount in the link in the show notes. You just use the code Tanya. And I'm super excited for this. It's going to be in 2 weeks, last weekend of April. I'm still not sure how my life is going to continue after that. I might head to Europe to join a priestess retreat where we will be, in the Isis temple and float down the Nile. And yeah, this retreat is calling me, but I haven't decided yet. So I might be in Egypt, immersing with the goddesses. I might be somewhere else. The only plans I have are my retreats this year, and I'm just allowing the life and magic to flow to me, and it's been such a magical journey so far. So this might be the last group program I'm offering for a while. If you always wanted to step a foot into my world, send me a message. I would love to have you there, to get to know you. And there's also something very big, the biggest offer I ever offered coming in October. So for the first time, you will have the possibility to become a feminine embodiment mentor. So if you are a yoga teacher, you're a therapist, a coach, a mentor, whatever, and you feel you want to dive deeper, you want to transition, and you would love to learn how to hold space in a sacred container, to use feminine embodiment practices, to guide healing sessions, to work somatically, to really use embodied healing that has life-changing results for your clients, then I will share everything I know in a process that you can use it for your clients. So you will learn everything from how to create a safe space, from how to prepare for healing sessions, how to keep your energy up, how to open a space for the quantum field to work in the subconscious, how to close the space so you can serve from purity and there's not your own entanglements involved, and also you don't absorb anything from your clients. Keeping your energy pure is really a huge part of this work. And if you don't know how, it can be very absorbative. So you absorb a lot of energy from people. You will also learn how to implement your work into retreats, how to organize retreats. Yeah, it's still coming through, but 6 months, 4 calls a month. The last month, you will have the possibility to coach in front of us, so you feel very safe to go out into the world and to offer this work. So you will leave not only as a truly embodied version of your work, and this looks different for every single woman, whatever your gifts are, what you're here to share, but you also will feel safe to go out, because you will practice a lot, not only in the life guiding sessions, you also practice with clients during this time. So 6 months, 4 sessions a month. I have a very special discount. If you already know this is calling you, send me a message. It's going to be a small group of women starting in mid-October after my Morea retreat. And I can't wait for it. I'm so excited to create feminine embodiment mentors that come from a really pure space and that hold space for healing through their own embodiment and not through books that they read or podcasts they listen to, but really through going through it first and then teaching from that space and holding space in a safe container from that space. So you find the links below, and I can't wait to see you next week. I love you all.